Hey, Sean here with another episode of Locked On Raptors. Today we're continuing and finishing off the Locked On Raptors 5th annual over-unders and props spectacular with Vivek Jacob and Sahal Abdi with some team-focused over-unders and props going into this year. It's going to be a lot of fun, as it was yesterday. If you haven't checked it out, go listen to part 1 from Monday, part 2 today with Vivek and Sahal. Why waste time? Let's get to it right now.
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome to episode number 1038 of Locked On Raptors for Tuesday, October the 19th. I'm your host, Sean Woodley of RaptorsHQ.com. You can find me on Twitter as always, at WoodleySean. You can find the show at Locked On Raptors. And of course, you can find the podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms for free. Plus, we're on YouTube. By the time this posts, we may have hit 1,000 subs on YouTube. So thank you very much if we did that. If not, what are you waiting for? Go do it if you haven't yet. It's very much appreciated when you subscribe to the YouTube page. And also, thank you for making us your first listen of the day. All right, let's get to it. On today's show, it is part 2 of our 5th annual Locked On Raptors over-unders and props spectacular with Vivek Jacob and Sahal Abdi. Vivek from Raptors.com is here. Vivek, how are you?
I'm doing well. Excited to get to the second half of this, and I know we've got some separation to build from each other. Sahal, like I said before, he's either going to cruise to this or he's going to look pretty bad.
Yeah. Sahal, how are you? Welcome to the show. Of course, you're doing your wonderful work over at Raptors Republic. How are you feeling about being the contrarian of the group yesterday?
It feels good, to be quite honest, because at this point, if one of you win and you win by a large margin, I can just chalk it up to, me just being a contrarian. But if I win,
strategy.
But if I win, though, and I win by a landslide, now we're talking.
It will be very impressive and embarrassing. Maybe Vivek and I will have to retire at this point. We'll see how it goes with part 2 today. See if there's any disparity that develops here. So yesterday we were pretty player focused with our over-unders and props. We're going to be mostly team focused today. So let's just get into them. We have 9 over-unders and props to get to. Let's start with the first one of the day. Toronto Raptors to make the AllStar game. I have set the over-under at 0.5. Last year's team had no All-Stars, of course. Fred VanVleet was kind of a fringy candidate, didn't quite make it. And, the team kind of fell into shambles right around the All-Star break anyway. So maybe it's worth not having anyone there. And they were all sick and away and COVID-y regardless. So 0.5, Raptors make the All-Star game. I will go first on this one. This is a really hard one. I think I'm going to go the over. I think they're going to get one All-Star. I think it'll probably be Pascal Siakam, but he might be back too late to get I don't know. I'm going under, actually. I don't think they're going to have an All-Star this year. I think it's going to be sort of a slept on. The East is good. Zach LaVine's going to get all the hype with the Bulls, and DeMar DeRozan's going to get in the All-Star game if the Bulls are good because the Bulls are a marquee team. I've changed my mind on the fly here. I'm going the under, as much as it pains me to say. I think it'll be some classic. There's 3 guys on this team who could be All-Stars. Let's just pick none of them and make it easy. Vivek, let's go to you. Over or under 0.5 Toronto Raptors All-Stars this year.
I'm sticking with the fun mode, man. I'm going over.
I like it. We have some disparity now. The second time we haven't agreed out of 10 questions. So that's good. What's your rationale here other than fun?
Well, I think Pascal is going to be really good. I think OG is going to be really good. And, OG, I think the greatest thing is the fact that, even with the added responsibility, even though it's preseason, it didn't look like the defense dropped off, right? And so I think that's something when you're able to produce at a two-way level, I think it gets a lot more attention. And, if he can shut down some guys on the way, and especially if he can get off to a hot start, right? Like if Siakam's out for those first few weeks and OG just goes off and the Raptors are winning some games that they probably shouldn't, then I think that's where, you start to build that buzz and then it just carries over. So, you're probably right that Siakam's got the best shot depending on when he comes back. And I'm pretty optimistic that we'll see him at some point in mid-November. Mm-hmm. But I think I will take the over.
All right. Sahal, over or under? Do the Raptors break their streak of not having an All-Star at 1 year?
I think a lot of it is going to depend on how many wins the Raptors have
Hmm.
heading into that halfway point. And I don't know. I see the Raptors as more of a seventh or eighth seed team than the optimists are projecting a fifth seed, or some of them even saying a fourth seed. I think that's where it's going to depend. I think if the Raptors are mid, Eastern Conference playoff push and they're in that fourth, fifth, who knows, even third halfway into the season, then yeah, I could see somebody getting in, whether it's Pascal, OG, possibly Fred. Like I said, Fred over on the points per game in the first
You
half of
did.
the
You did.
so if he has an all defense season and you pair that with over 21.5 points per game, guys, then we're probably looking at an all-star season for Fred. But I'm still gonna go under. I think it's just too much against the Raptors. The depth isn't where it was the last few years, so I think that's gonna hurt them a little bit, and that's gonna project them to a lower half Eastern Conference team. And I think even if you see an OG Anunoby, breakout year, and the Raptors are seeded eighth or seventh, I still don't think he's getting in.
Yeah, I mean, the East is going to be loaded this year, so I think it's going to be tough. And I mean, Raptors fans are very good at voting people into starting lineups, maybe when they shouldn't be. So maybe that's going to happen here. You always have to count on the Raptors fan voting quotient, but I think both you and I are on the under, Sahal. I think we're going to be right. Sadly,
I think so
hope we're
too.
wrong. That'd be great. This is the one I'm hoping I'm wrong about. Let's continue on. The next prop I have here: players to score 30 plus points in a game. Of course, last year the Raptors had 10 different players who did this. Very cool, fun stat for the year. I've set the over/under at 5.5 for this season. I believe Vivek, the action goes to you. Over/under 5.5 Raptors to score 30 plus in a single game this year.
I see Sahal doing the math as we speak. He's got the
Yep, he's
fingers
doing
up.
math for all us to see his strategy, which is good.
I think this is a tight one, but I will take the under. I think
Okay.
it's reasonable to obviously expect Fred, OG, Siakam to have their 30 pieces, and then you're probably looking at the combination of, Boucher, Trent, maybe Dragic, and so with those guys, I think, because of the different options the Raptors have, I don't know that they'll have like those breakout nights as much as we saw last season, where just because the Raptors were down guys, it was like, hey, okay, well, someone's got to take over tonight. And so I will take the under.
Yeah, no Paul Watson scoring 30 for the team this season, I guess, is the take. So, Hall, where are you going with this? Over under 5.5 Raptors with 30 points in a game.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching the YouTube version of this, you probably saw me counting with my fingers.
Yep.
I think Fred is definitely going to have at least one. I can see Siakam and OG having one, and then I'm really confident the season Gary Trent Jr. is going to have. So I think he's going to get one as well. I don't know if I see Dragic or any of the rotation guys. Svi, Utah, even Chris Boucher. I don't know if I see one from them. So my number sticks at 4. So I'm going to go with the under, Sean.
All right, you're going under. I am going contrary to both of you. I am taking the over. And here's my rationale. The Raptors got some heat check dudes on the team this season, and heat check dudes score 30 points in at least one game, seemingly by rule. So I think we'll get the 30 from OG, Siakam, and Fred pretty easily, probably multiple times for those guys. And I'm going to say Gary Trent Jr. gets one. I'm going to say Chris Boucher gets one. Of course, he had 38 in a game last season and is prone to heaters. And I'm going to say Malachi Flynn goes off for 30 in a game at some point this season. Just kind of feeling himself, pull-up game, working in a specific game. It'll be like one of those like 30 points with 1 rebound and 1 assist type games, but I see that coming from Malachi Flynn at some point this season. Some sort of explosion in a single game. I don't know if that means he's going to be part of like a larger breakout type season. I would probably bet against it, but I think there's enough there. And I also just think 30-point games, yes, it's hard to do, but also the Raptors are going to be a high-paced team. They're probably going to put up some pretty big totals, even if their efficiency is not amazing. Just by volume, they might score a lot of points. And so I think we could see like a Precious Achiuwa crazy-ass game where he hits 4 threes or something like that. I think 5.5 is, I think I set it a pretty good line here, but I'm going to take the over. And I'm also going to pat myself on the back. Let's continue on here. The next one. Which player leads the Raptors in total dunks this season? Raptors have been a little bit dunker bereft for the last couple years. Maybe there's a little bit more going on in terms of the dunk category this season. Sahal, you're on the board for this one. Who leads the Raptors in dunks this year?
Ooh. This one's a little bit tough because you have your dunkers in guys like Precious, but this could be more of a volume thing. So this makes it a little bit more tough with the guys who are going to spend a lot of time on the floor. Pascal doesn't really dunk all that often. He's more of a finesse finisher around the rim.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kem's going to be up there as well. I'm going to go Precious Achua.
All right.
Precious Achua.
I like it. I do think he stands a chance of being like the coolest dunker on the team, which they haven't had in quite a while. I think I'm going to go with the volume point. I think OG is going to lead the team in dunks this season. He is a really good cutter. He cuts baseline for those easy finishes all the time. I think Scottie Barnes is going to pick him out many, many times per game for those easy dunks under the basket. He does the chin up dunks, of course. And I think just by virtue of like having the ball in his hands and driving downhill more often, there are going to be more dunks for OG to throw down. So I will say OG. He's always been a very good dunker as well, a very heavy dunker. I love OG dunks, so I'm rooting for this for fun purposes as well. But I'll say OG leads the team in dunks. Vivek, where are you going with this one? You seem frustrated when I threw OG out there.
Because I'm going with OG as well.
There they go again.
Yeah, again, the volume thing is important. I think Precious and Scottie might sneakily also be like the nicest dunkers on the team. But I think from a volume perspective and just thinking about, leaking out on the break, I think OG is probably going to have the most clear-cut opportunities. And so the path seems the easiest for him to have the most dunks on the team.
Yep, that's my reasoning as well. I think we could probably see, Pascal have a pretty decent clip here as well, even though he doesn't dunk with all that much force. Like he's just kind of around the basket a lot, so maybe he's in there. But I think, OG is going to be the guy for me. And Vivek and Sahal has himself some Precious. All right, we're going to continue on here and get into the next three over-unders and props for this coming season in 1 second here. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Theragun. Don't let the stress of daily life weigh in your body, whether you're an elite athlete or someone like me who is decidedly not an elite athlete and you're just trying to make it through the day tension-free. Theragun can help. Theragun is the handheld percussive therapy device that releases your deepest muscle tension using a scientifically calibrated combo of depth, speed, and power, and it's as quiet as an electric toothbrush. The Gen 4 Theragun doesn't just feel good. It gets to the source of pain by releasing tension using Theragun's signature percussive therapy, which goes 60% deeper than vibration alone. Whether you want to treat your muscle tension from working out or the injury or just the stresses of everyday life, there is no substitute for the Theragun Gen 4. The OLED screen and design make it feel like you're holding something from the future. Just go to their site and check it out. And the Theragun app learns from your behaviors and suggests guided routines as well. Theragun is trusted by 250 professional sports teams like Real Madrid and elite athletes like Paul George, DeAndre Hopkins, Maria Sharapova, hundreds of thousands of customers, and me. I have one, and it's wonderful. It makes my legs hurt much less whenever I do some sort of physical activity. Try Theragun for 30 days starting at only $199. Go to therabody.com/lockedon right now and get your Gen 4 Theragun today. That's therabody.com, therabody.com/lockedon, therabody.com/lockedon. All right, we continue on here with the 5th annual Raptors Over-Unders and Props Spectacular here on Locked On Raptors. And we continue on with question number 4 for today. More charges drawn. Fred VanVleet plus Gary Trent Jr. plus Goran Dragic plus Malachi Flynn, the entire Raptors presumed rotational backcourt, or Kyle Lowry with the Heat this season. Who is drawing more charges combined? I will go first on this one. Sadly, I have to go. It's going to be Kyle Lowry. He's going to play presumably a full season. He's going to be playing on a team of maniacs where I feel like they're just going to be like one-upping each other with how many charges they can draw. And I don't really see Dragic, Trent, or Flynn necessarily striking me as the type to take a lot of charges. Fred might. He might kind of take up the mantle from Kyle, but I really don't see it being a thing that the entire backcourt for the Raptors is doing a whole lot. So I'm going to take Kyle Lowry, who I believe last year would have been on pace had he played the full season for something like 25 charges, 30 charges drawn. It's kind of his average. Sometimes has more than full teams. Can he have more than a full backcourt? Vivek, where are you at with this one?
Mm-hmm. I'm taking Kyle Lowry. I think Fred VanVleet took precisely one charge last season. So
yeah, he took a couple in the preseason, so there's that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I still think Kyle is going to be that dude when it comes to charges next season. So I'll take him beating all the other guys. So yeah.
It's worth noting, by the way, on the video version of today's podcast, I tried to fix the lighting situation from yesterday. The sun has only gotten more intense and problematic as it pokes through my closed curtains onto my face. So now I look like I'm a 1950s prison person with the striped outfit. Either way, Sahal, Raptors backcourt of Kyle Lowry, more charges drawn.
This one, Sean, is pretty easy. I'm going Kyle as well. I do think though that Fred is going to draw, a lot more charges this year. I could see him around the 10 mark this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But man, the other guys, unless you're running full speed into them, unless you have a LeBron James running down the court, full speed into a GTJ or a Dragic, I just don't see it happening. I'm gonna watch a lot of the Miami Heat this year. It's kind of a side note, but and a lot of that obviously has to do with Kyle Lowry. So I want to see if he is, taking his charge talent from Toronto to Miami. I think he will. So it's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the year where I pivot from being, hey, the charge is good, keep the charge in the game, to get rid of the charge. It's a terrible play because Kyle Lowry no longer plays for the team I like, and that's just how it works. So
one thing I'll quickly say
is
obviously I totally get why you put the entire Raptors backcourt against Kyle Lowry, but I think this could have been interesting if you threw Kem Birch in there.
Interesting. Okay.
I think he's the sneaky one in terms of drawing charges, and I think if I had to pick one person to lead the team in charges next season, it'll probably be Kem Birch.
I did toy with the idea of just doing the entire Raptors team against Kyle, but it's too rare. There's only like 2 teams every year who Kyle will typically outcharge. Could be this year's Raptors. They've lost Kyle Lowry, so maybe that would have been the pick. Either way, we're all on Kyle getting more charges than the Raptors backcourt. We move on to the next one. The Raptors' final offensive ranking. This is points per 100 possessions, offensive rating. Where will they finish? I've set the over-under at 22.5. If you think it's an over, then you're going with they're better than 22.5. Or if the under, you're going they're going to be worse than 22nd in the league when it comes to their defensive ranking. So we begin with Vivek on this one. Where are you going here? Final offensive ranking for your Toronto Raptors.
So just to be clear, if I say over, that means they will be better than the 20.
Yes, correct.
2.5.
Correct.
So, I don't think they'll be quite that bad. I can see them being middle of the pack. I think those early clock opportunities are going to keep them afloat. I know I fully expect half-court issues, especially before Pascal Siakam returns. But I think there'll be enough that happens for them. I think there's decent shooting on this team, and I think just the synergy with the playmaking that's on the roster, I think there'll be enough offense to not be a bottom 10 offense.
That's fair. Sahal, where are you going with this one? Where do the Raptors finish in offense?
I am going to go. Oh man. I'm looking because this is tough because I think the Western Conference teams is where you see a lot of the offensive juice. You look at the Eastern Conference teams and it's like, especially the bottom half, the Detroits, Orlando's, Cleveland, but even the middle, like the Pacers and the Wizards and the Hornets, like there isn't that much offensive juice in the Eastern Conference. But the West, it's like, goodness gracious, for Golden State, you have Clay coming back. You have the Spurs, you have the Pelicans. The Kings were a very good offensive team last year, despite their record. And then you have like wild cards like Minnesota, who's getting D'Angelo Russell back. And then you have like the Goliath, the Utah Jazz, Phoenix Suns, Denver Nuggets, Clippers, Lakers, Mavericks. I'm going to go. I'm gonna agree with Vivek. I'm gonna agree with Vivek here. I don't see enough in the East where they can push the Raptors down that low.
All right. I am gonna go with the This one, I think it's going to be very close. Like, I think the range between like 20 and 24. Like, I think 23 would be my specific prediction. And in the interest of trying to steal some points away from you guys, I will do that. So I'll say the under. I don't feel great about it. I think there's a chance that the transition offense is really good and that buoys everything, like you said, Vivek. And last year they were like the 15th or 16th offense in the league. So it's not like it was all that moribund, even when things were really, really sort of desperate late in the season. But I just think without Kyle Lowry, the half court offense is going to be trickier. The first part of the season, I think they could really struggle unless OG really goes off. If they're higher than this, great. That means a lot of the good things have gone well, and the transition offense has kind of responded after being very, very bad last season, despite getting in transition more than anybody else. So I will say just the slight under, but it could go either way there. We go to the next one, the final defensive ranking for your Toronto Raptors, over under 8.5. So again, if you think over, that means you think they're going to be better than eighth. If you are eighth or better, if you think under, you think they're going to be ninth or worse. Sahal, this one goes to you.
I'm going to go very confident over. I think the
Okay.
Raptors will be one of the best defensive teams. I think, obviously, barring anything health related, I think you're looking at a team that people were even kind of shocked how this team was being built, in the sense that it was a lot of 6, 7, 8, 9 guys with tons of wingspan, very similar builds, very similar archetypes, I guess you could say. I don't see a way that this team falls beneath 10th
Mm-hmm.
or really 8th. So I think I'm looking at this team as more of a 5 or 6 team. And I think the offensively, to the last question, I can see them 19th, 18th. So I think that will make them, I think, good enough to make the playoffs. But I do think that defensively, they are one of the best teams. They have one of the best makeups in the NBA for sure, led by OG, Fred, and then you have Scottie Barnes, who I think is going to be an all defensive player very, very soon. I could see that happening in his 3rd or 4th season in the league. So yeah, I'm going to go confidently with the over.
I'm with you. I'm going to go over as well. I think their defense is going to be excellent. I do think there is some risk if they continue to run Nick Nurse's insane maniac defense all season long.
Yeah.
That could potentially pose some trouble just because it is, it's a high variance type of defense, right? They give up a lot of threes. I could see their defensive ranking kind of being sewered by like a high opposing 3-point percentage, for example, like it was last year, frankly. That said, I think they'll probably realize at some point, we don't have to play this kind of defense. Everyone on our team is a monster. We can switch everything. We can make it simple. We can guard guys in isolation. We have some rim protection this season in the form of Precious Achiuwa and Kem Birch in a way we didn't have any last season. I think that means the Raptors are going to have a top 6 or 7 defense. I would not be surprised if they crept into the top 5. It's also going to be necessary, I think, because I don't think their offense is going to be that amazing. So if their defense can hold up, I think that will give them a shot at competing. And I think they're going to be a comfortable over there as well. Vivek, where are you going with this one?
So I am going to be the contrarian here.
Ooh.
I'm going to say under. I don't think they're going to be a top 8 defense, just because when I look at this roster, I think they're very young. And so I think when you're very young, you don't necessarily have the consistency that you should. And while I think the potential is excellent, I think we're going to see nights where they look amazing on the defensive end. And we're like, wow, this is what it could be. But I also think there's going to be other nights where it's just all falls over and you're like, wow, this is pretty ugly to watch. And so I think that is going to have them, out of that, top 10, I would say. I think they could be in that, top 12 mix maybe. But for now, I think, it'll be a work in progress to get into that top 8 as all these young guys try to learn these schemes.
That's totally fair. I think that's, why I don't feel I feel pretty good about this one, I guess, just because of the raw talent compared to last year. But that defensive stylings of Nick Nurse thing gives me a little bit of pause because it's hard to learn that defense. So just play normal defense, maybe, Nick Nurse. We're going to finish up in just a second with our final 3 over-unders and props for the season. We'll get to that in one sec here. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at BetOnline.ag, who have provided some of the lines for this year podcast. The next one actually coming up is a BetOnline supplied one, and they are back and better than ever with all eyes on the gridiron as teams are back on the field for their football season. Also, you've got basketball, baseball playoffs, hockey's back up and running. As always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season with a new and updated site and interface and even more odds, props, and contests. BetOnline continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit when you use the promo code LOCKEDON, all one word. From basketball, football, boxing, baseball, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline is where the game starts. Today's show is also brought to you by rockauto.com, who are saving you money when you go to the mechanic, and it's just amazing. You might be going and, maybe you got to get some winter tires on your car or something like that. Don't go to Rock Auto, or don't go to somewhere else to get those parts. Go to Rock Auto to get those parts that you need because they're going to be cheaper for you, guaranteed. Why choose to spend 30, 50, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or a car dealership? For example, a Honda Odyssey fuel pump is going to run you like $350 at a chain store. It's $216 at rockauto.com. That is money you could be spending on other things and not on your car. They're a family business. They've been serving auto parts customers for 20 years, whether you're a do-it-yourselfer or professional, and prices are reliably low. No matter who you are, go to explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution to your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now to see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in their How'd You Hear About Us box to know that we sent you as well. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the car parts you'll ever need at rockauto.com. All right, boys, let's round this out with the final 3 over-unders in our annual over-unders and props spectacular. This one here is per BetOnline, the over-under for the Toronto Raptors. I'm going to add in as well that with your pick of over-under, throw in an actual firm record prediction, and there'll be a bonus point awarded if you get the record predicted correctly at the end of the season. So, per BetOnline, the Raptors over-under is set at 36.5 wins. I will start with this one. I'm taking a comfortable over. I think this team is going to be surprising. I think they're going to be feisty. I think they'll be better in crunch time than they were last year because it's basically impossible for them not to be. I think just being at home is going to be an enormous boon. And I also think the Eastern Conference in that range that we're talking about, like the 7 through 12, I don't think it's quite as good as maybe we've been like hyping it up to be. I think the Hornets are maybe a year early. Everybody knows that I think the Knicks are fugazis. I think the Pacers are kind of weird and like disjointed. The Wizards, I think, are going to have like one of the worst defenses we've ever seen. And I think there's room for the Raptors to climb up into like that 7th or 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. And thus, I think they are finishing the season with a 42-40 record, just over a net rating of 0.0. They're going to be about a 500-ish team, extremely 500 energy, but I think that'll be enough to make the playoffs, the play-in, whatever it is. 42-40 is my prediction. I'm taking the over. Vivek, it goes to you.
I'm going to take the over as well. I see this team, being in that 40 to 44 win range. Mm-hmm. And so just to be different, I'll say they finish 43-39.
There you go.
And yeah, I feel like barring a significant injury or whatever it is, this team should be in that play-in mix and more likely to be 7-8 than 9-10, and maybe even creeping into 6.
Yep. I think that is all very much makes sense. Oh, God, words. Sahal, take over for me. I can't talk.
I have... Well, based on my prediction of the Raptors finishing in the 7th or 8th seed, I'm gonna go with the classic 41-41 record. So I'm gonna take the over.
Cool.
But I do think there is a way where Toronto can go under that. And I know you guys are a little bit more optimistic. I think Sean, you took 42, and Vivek, you said 43. So I'm looking at last year, and I'm just projecting the standings. And the teams that are going to be in the mix with the Raptors are the New York Knicks, and I don't know if the Wizards are going to be there because they lost Westbrook, and I think Westbrook meant a lot to their win total last year. but they are deep. The Wizards are a very deep team now. The Pacers are going to be in the mix. Charlotte Hornets are probably going to be a little bit better, and then the Bulls, of course, and then you have your basement teams of the Cavaliers, Magic, and Pistons. And I don't think the Cavaliers are going to be that bad, but I am going to go with a 41-41 record over an 82-game season for the Raptors. And if this is even extra points, Sean, I'm going to go with a 7-seed finish as well for the Raptors.
It's not extra points, but thank you for trying. We got 2 left, guys. Let's move on to the next one here. Total games played by the Toronto Raptors this season. I have set the over-under at 83.5, which essentially is, do you think we've all predicted them to make the play-in? Do you think they will play more than one play-in game? Does that mean they have won at as a 7 or 8? Have they won as a 9 and then are going to play one of the 7 or 8s? Or will they lose in one of the play-in games and be out or not make the play-in whatsoever? 83.5 is the over-under. So Vivek, it is up to you to make your pick right now. Over under 83.5 total games played by the Raptors.
I will say over, but I just wanted to make sure if they, for example, finish with the 6th seed and so they only play 82 and then they play the playoff games, does that count?
Yeah, that counts as total games played.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. just want to make sure. So
I'm not a monster.
So yeah, I'll take the over. I think, especially, the play-in, if they can get home court for one of those games, then I think they'll feel pretty good. But I will take the over. We're sticking with the fun mode, like I said.
I don't hate it. Pro fun and optimism. It's always a good thing here on the show. Sahal, where are you going with this one? Over under 83.5 games played for the team.
I'm going to go over. I do think the Raptors are going to host a playoff game. And let me say this as well. I know a lot of people are complaining about the ticket prices for the Raptors this season. And honestly, some of it's deservedly so. But I do think a play-in, I don't know if you call it a playoff game, but the atmosphere, I think, in Toronto, if they do host a game like that, is going to be like a playoff game. And I could see them facing maybe a Charlotte, maybe an Indiana in that game. And I think it's, the Raptors, in my opinion, are going to have a very good home record this year. I think their away record's going to be not as great. Vivek said earlier that this team was very young, and I don't think young teams do as well on the road. So I'm going to go over because I do think they're going to be in the playoffs, and we will see a first-round playoff exit team in the Toronto Raptors.
Let me put it to you this way, guys. If I was to put it at 84.5, so it counts in playing 2 play-in games, either losing and then playing the next one to get in, or winning the 9-10 and then moving up and playing in the 7-8 game, would you take the over or under with 84.5? Because that maybe is the better line here. Maybe I'm changing it on the fly. Vivek?
That's a tough one. I might go under. Yeah, that's a tough one. Are we actually changing it right now?
No, I won't change it. It's already been set in stone. It's fine. We've made our picks, but I'm now regretting not setting it 84.5 because it would have been a little bit more dramatic, I think, perhaps. Either way, we can continue on here because we're not changing it, and that's fine. We will get to the final of our questions here on our over, under, and props spectacular, and it is season-ending award winners for the Raptors. So combined between MVP, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, All Defense, All Rookie, All NBA, Coach of the Year, how many awards will the Raptors take home at the end of the season? So Hall, you are up first. What are you going here? I've set the over-under at 2.5.
Okay, let's throw MVP out of the discussion really, really quickly.
That is Scottie Barnes erasure, and I don't like it.
Let's throw that out. I'm extremely, extremely, extremely high on Scottie Barnes. I'm Rookie of the Year high on him.
I should also, note, MIP is also in this. It just wasn't any room on the thing for me to squeeze it in. I just realized.
Yeah.
Is Executive of the Year on there too?
No, that's a stupid award. It's dumb. We're not counting Executive of the Year.
I'm Rookie of the Year high on Scottie Barnes, but I'm not projecting it for him, if that makes sense. So I won't be surprised if he gets that award. Defensive Player of the Year, I think it's going to be very tough for the Raptors. They almost have to have a top 3 defense, and then and then OG is going to have to go absolutely like nuts in terms of national recognition. And it's so hard to beat out guys like Rudy Gobert and such and such. All defense, I actually do think the Raptors get in finally this year. So that's one. All rookie, Scottie Gibson. I think that's two. All NBA, I don't think we have any. Coach of the year, I don't think we have any. MIP for me is the wild card. And I don't know who that's going to be. I don't know who that's going to be. I don't have anything else to say, so I'm going to go under. I was trying to think of something or someone. I'm going to go under. I was going one by one. No, I'm going to go under. Yeah.
I was going under. I think I am going to take the over. I don't know how good I feel about it, but it's contrarian to Sahal, and that's good. I think, all defense, I think they'll get one. I think all rookie, they're going to get one. I would not be stunned if we saw like a third team All NBA level season from Pascal once he gets back. Like he's already been a second team All NBA player. Wouldn't be totally shocked. The forward position's kind of the one with the most room for wiggling, I suppose, with the way guys can kind of be a forward or a center and it kind of oscillates. I mean, I could totally see like another Nick Nurse Coach of the Year season happening too. If like, I know the voter fatigue and everything like that, but if they come out and win like 48 games and are playing this insane, everyone is 6'9" defense, maybe that's enough to sway things in Nick Nurse's favor again. I think there's another, and maybe even MIP for OG. Is it like there's already like preseason buzz for him, and a lot of that is narrative. So the narrative is already kind of existing. I'm going to take the over. I think they, it might just be two all defense guys as well. Maybe they get Fred and OG. That could totally happen too. So I'm going to say over. Not feeling totally great, but I think it's fun if they go over. Vivek, where are you going with this one?
Sticking with the fun, baby. I'm going over. I feel confident that at least one of OG or Fred makes the all defensive team. I feel very confident that Scottie Barnes makes the all rookie team. So that's two right there. And then it is just a question of getting one more. So I'll take my chances that both Fred and OG. I mean, I guess that goes counter to, you'd probably need the Raptors to finish a lot higher defensively than I had them to make it. But yeah, like I said, I'm riding with the fun, so I'll take the over.
Okay, I also forgot to include six man here as well.
I have okay, so that's what I was going to say. So six man is another one. Are we okay? So Vivek asked about executive of the year. Are we doing teammate of the year? Are we doing sportsmanship award?
It's the one people care about. Okay, come on. Teammate of the year is like a participation trophy award. No thanks.
We're not doing that. Raptors are going over if they're getting teammate of the year.
No, I think I forgot about six man. Maybe Chris Boucher gets in the conversation for that. I had Goran Dragic as like a long shot. Maybe you throw some money down on Dragic being six man. I'm not sure after the preseason if I totally buy that anymore. But Gary Trent Jr., if he comes off the bench, could be in that conversation too. Because boy, do people love points from sixth men and not much else. Either way, that is going to do it for the 5th annual Locked On Raptors Over, Unders, and Props Spectacular. We will check in at the halfway point of the season to see how things are going. And of course, we will recap it all at season's end to see who won the 5th edition of this grandest of Locked On Raptors traditions. Vivek Jacob, it was lovely having you on once again. Where can people check out your work? Anything you would like to plug?
You can find my work at Raptors.com, Complex Canada, and CBC. And I have a piece coming out for Raptors.com. And so it's about, the Raptors kind of always wanting to be, or at least since the hiring of Nurse, like wanting to be like where the league is going. And so I think this roster is reflective of that. And I think it's a piece that I had a lot of fun with. And I hope that people enjoy it too.
Everyone go check it out. Sahal, anything you want to promote?
Yeah, I'm going to, you can find me on Raptors Republic, just like the last few years for me. I'm going to be freelancing a bit more this season. I talked to Vivek about it already, so it's going to be fun to show off my work on different publications. Also, today, ironically as well, is the recording of our season preview for a podcast that I am a host on. It's called the Basketball Bullies Podcast. where we talk NBA and NBA Top Shot. So if you're an NBA Top Shot user that's also a Locked On Raptors fan, check that out. It's called the Basketball Bullies Podcast. And the episode should be out this Wednesday, so it should be fun.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, guys. It was lovely having you on. We'll check in again at the halfway point of the season to see how badly I'm beating you both. And that will do it for today.
You
Thank everyone for tuning
mathematically
in.
can't be beating me by a lot.
We had a lot more disagreement in the second half. I think there's a chance here that I can pull ahead. Either way, thanks everyone for tuning in. It was lovely as always. We got to get the hell out of here. Vivek's got to make his way to practice, and we've held him way too long. So that'll do it. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. Go listen to Locked On NBA as your second listen of the day as well. We'll talk to you again tomorrow with Alan Shane Lewis and Ann Pornell from the Great Canadian Baking Show as we get ready for the brand new season on opening day on Wednesday. We'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.